Well, one of the stories we're following this afternoon, heads up if you happen to own a Tesla, you might want to be very cognizant as to where you park it. Apparently, there's been a string of vandalism incidents, as we hear from our very own Rebecca Castor.
Teslas set ablaze at a Las Vegas service center earlier this week, with the culprit leaving behind the word resist. In Oregon, shots were fired at a dealership, and in Massachusetts, charging stations were torched. Just a few examples of vandals targeting Tesla across the country.
We have charged multiple people. Get ready, more coming. We believe these are organized. These are not individuals out there throughout the country doing this on their own.
Elon Musk's company has become a clear target since he aligned himself with President Donald Trump and started slashing government jobs and spending.
Do you consider this an act of domestic terrorism?
I think so. I think that you will find out that they're paid by people that are very highly political on the left.
There was even a website now taken down sharing the personal information of Tesla owners to pressure them to sell their vehicles.
It's despicable, the violence that has taken place against Tesla, the company, its employees, and also just Americans who have chosen to drive an electric vehicle. We would like Democrats to also come out and condemn this heinous violence that we have seen.
This is going to be my last trip in this car.
Instead, Democratic lawmakers have mostly jumped on board with the Tesla takedown, selling their vehicles and praising the company's plummeting stock.
$225 and dropping.
Tesla was also removed from this week's Vancouver International Auto Show, with organizers citing safety concerns. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
And staying in the realm of politics, President Trump will sign an executive order this afternoon to start the process of ending the Department of Education. Meanwhile, the Trump administration may turn over information about Saturday's deportations of migrants to El Salvador to a federal court today, or invoke state secrets privilege. Joining us to discuss this and so much more, Mr. Timothy Allen Simon, political strategist back here on the Live Zone. Good to see you, sir. Happy Thursday.
Good to see you, Guy.
All right, let's jump into it. In this case, we're going to start with the big story of the day, and that is President Trump is poised to now sign an executive order today to start the process of ending the Department of Education. This is a move that will begin fulfilling a major campaign promise. His opponents say this is no good and will force the elimination of programs for those in dire need of assistance. What say you, sir?
You know, Republicans have been targeting Department of Education for, almost since its inception. And the proposal of the Trump administration is many of these funding mechanisms could be carried out through different agencies. But this will clearly be challenged in the courts. And the outcome, will be determined. But I think much of it is just part of these culture wars that are dividing our country. And clearly the Department of Education plays a very important role in funding education, particularly in rural and historically called underserved communities where the tax base may not be in a position to provide the type of education, particularly for children that have special needs or children that learn differently. I have an autistic grandson. I think this should be a concern of every American, regardless of which side of the aisle they're on. I think the ultimate damage will be to our ability to maintain our status as a global leader in the area of education, and the ability of every child and every adult to receive education regardless of their economic status or condition.
Yet again, the president is expected to sign that executive order in the Oval Office sometime this afternoon. Should that happen during this show, we'll take you there live. The other big story of the day, earlier today, the European Union delayed the retaliatory tariffs it announced after the U.S. imposed a 25% tariff on steel and aluminum imports earlier this month. Now, if those tariffs went into effect, whiskey, well, you can see a rise in costs for that right here in the good old U.S. of A. But, well, Trump then said he would slap a 200% tariff on champagne and wine. It looks like we're going back and forth, Timothy.
Yes, and this is creating enormous uncertainty in the market. I think the Trump administration's tactic is very much an open negotiation that's occurring before the world, but the impact on investors is creating the kind of uncertainty that can cause sell-offs where investors will go to more stable fixed income debt type instruments versus equities to stay on the sideline to see how this will shake out. Again, it is the president's own developed economic theory of bringing wealth to this country. But if it spawns inflation, as even the Fed has expressed concerns, then I think it will be damaging working families. And this is who the Trump administration stated or claimed that they will be supporting in their economic agenda. And so far, it hasn't happened on day one. But I will also say that this would typically be the honeymoon period for a president in office. So we'll see how it pans out. But I don't think right now the capital markets are happy with, or are showing confidence in this strategy being embraced by the president.
Yeah, Timothy, they say people respond when they are hit in the pocket. Well, yet again, you heard me make mention of my love for eggs. I will respond yet again because I'm now hit with regard to what I drink, and that is whiskey. All smiles for the time being. We're going to move on in this case to the purge at the Pentagon. Apparently, the Pentagon has taken down a number of sites that were a part of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Some 24,000 articles in all scrubbed from web pages. Well, speaking of that, oops, by mistake, Black veterans such as Jackie Robinson and the Tuskegee Airmen also scrubbed. The Pentagon then doing an about-face saying that it was a mistake and reinstated those sites. What say you about this, sir?
This Republican Party is no longer really attached to its historic roots as actually being the party that worked with Lyndon Baines Johnson to establish the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, and the Immigration Rights Act. It's moving further and further, my concern, to the right and the white. And this is a clear demonstration. Jackie Robinson, by the way, was a Republican. And based upon the party affiliation of African Americans in World War II and before, most of them were Republicans because this was the party of Lincoln. So I think it is a tactical error. It's a strategic error to remove these symbols of America's greatness, of America's as the land of opportunity that African Americans and other minorities made possible. We are a diverse society. That is simply a fact. So when you start trying to attack the fact that we are a diverse society, you are in essence unraveling the foundation of what has given America the world economic and even from a democratic standpoint, political dominance that it has historically received. In business, they call that goodwill. There's a value associated with goodwill. And my concern is that in this and even in certain foreign policies, America is losing the image of goodwill.
Wow, interesting. We'll end with this, and that is the talks between Russia and the United States. We are now hearing that will actually get underway this upcoming Monday in Saudi Arabia. That, according to the Kremlin, it appears, Timothy, that we are yet again one step closer to a potential ceasefire. Do you agree?
I do. I think this is one area, even though many critics feel that the Trump administration is fully yielding to Vladimir Putin and Russia, but I do believe that the president is getting both parties to the table, and you can't have anything if you can't get them to the table. Now, the issue is the ceasefire, which is designed to end the targeted bombing of energy infrastructure facilities, particularly in Ukraine, that have an enormous damaging effect on the overall population. I believe if Zelensky can achieve this, along with a 30-day ceasefire, that there could be a finality. The problem will come in the sovereignty of Ukraine, because clearly I do not believe Vladimir Putin is going to give back territories that he has achieved in the war, and vice versa. So I think that will be where the Trump administration's ability to negotiate will really come into play. It is interesting that the president has offered to take over the energy generation facilities of Ukraine to put them under American operation and management. Some would see that as being almost neo-colonial or hegemony, but I'll also say that if it is run by the United States, it's less likely to be a target of bombing by Russia. So I think there is some credence to this strategy. I believe the challenge will be for the president to tilt a certain degree of advantage back in the direction of Ukraine so that it at least appears to be a balanced negotiation.
Well, one thing's for sure, I think we can all agree on, and that is we all want peace in that region. Yet again, Timothy Allen Simon, political strategist, joining us right here on the Live Zone. Always good to see you, sir.
Good to see you as well. Thank you.
Well, by now you've probably heard about the so-called gold card. It's a unique way to offer foreign nationals a path to citizenship at the price of, count it, $5 million. But immigration policy experts and some Republican lawmakers cast doubt that a president could implement the plan alone. Joining us now to discuss this and so more is Mr. Ali John Gary, CEO and founder of EB5 Investors Magazine. Mr. John Gary, I know you have been patiently waiting, and so we are so glad that you could join us right here on the Live Zone. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Guy. Well, it's really exciting what's going on with investment immigration. After 20 years, now it's in the spotlight. This is smart immigration policy. So we're really excited to talk about it with you.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. So walk us through with regard to what this is all about. I mean, I know you heard me state it, and so many folks have either read about it or heard about it. But in layman's terms, if you will, what exactly is the gold card and how would it be implemented?
See, the gold card is a new phenomenon where President Trump brought it up as an idea of potentially something that could bring in revenue into our country. The little baby brother is EB5. And just to give you some background on what EB5 is, EB5 has brought $55 billion of jobs and business into our country over the last 10 years. EB5 was the first created as a way to bring in $800,000 and a prerequisite of 10 jobs, and that's what's needed to create get a green card for somebody. So that's the predecessor of the Trump Gold Card, and I think that's a really good way to actually look at it. Is it's actually worked and brought in so much money into the country. It's built the Bright Line train from Miami all the way to northern Florida. It's built the Philadelphia Convention Center in D.C., the Marriott Marquis, the Wharf. It's built so many projects that people don't know about.
And so with that being said, I would assume that this will actually get underway, yet again be implemented with an executive order. Is that correct? Because so many folks are stating, hey, this in essence really needs to go through Congress to happen.
Well, this is actually an interesting question because to expand the EB5 program, all we need is an executive order. But, President Trump and a lot of people say that the gold card can be done with an executive order. I am actually looking forward to seeing this happen. We're very excited as an industry to see it because we've been living and breathing this. I'm actually calling you from Asia right now.
How cool is that? Yet again, all the way from overseas, joining us right here on the Live Zone. So this, in essence, the gold card would cost some $5 million. Now, I did a little research, and I wanted to find out about discretionary income with regard to who has $5 million just floating around. Well, in the entire world, it's about 1.5 million people. We know overall the president stated that, hey, I would love for 1 million folks actually to sign up for this. This would create $1 trillion, which we could pay down the deficit. Likely to happen in your case?
Well, just look at it this way. St. Kitts, an island out of the Caribbean, brings in 30 to 40% of their GDP on their investment immigration program. I don't think it's far-fetched to see that there's a lot of people that want to get a tax benefit in the United States that have that kind of money. If you don't tax their foreign sourced income, there's a very high probability you can get these people coming to our country. The issue you have right now, like for example with EB5, we tax everybody who comes in like a regular US citizen. But the way Trump's proposing it is genius, I think, because if you don't tax them on foreign sourced income, they have every reason to come into the United States and just pay taxes on their US based income, which is super smart in my opinion.
So I got to play devil's advocate here. And in this case, the opposition, if you will, is saying, hold up, wait a minute. This is just a fast track way for, let's say, drug lords or some of the bad guys with a lot of cash on hand in order to immediately get a fast track into the country.
No, that's nonsense. This goes through Homeland Security. There's AML. There's multiple layers of checks and balances here. I mean, just an applicant in our industry takes 6 months to get a conditional green card under our program. There's no way we're going to let those kind of people into our country.
Yeah, yet again, something we will see very well unfold before our eyes sometime in the near future. One of the many plans that President Trump has offered, and yet again, it's sparking a lot of interest. So for the folks that are watching right now, and they're saying, hey, good thing, bad thing, obviously, I would state that you would say it's a great thing.
I think we build a two-tier system. We have the $5 million gold card, which basically exempts the foreign sourced income. And we also keep the EB-5 program and expand it. Why not maximize both programs and bring in more money into our country? I mean, these jobs that are created are detrimental to our country, and they've really done a good job over the last years cleaning up EB-5. There's a new Integrity Act that no one talks about. And truly, it takes one executive order to expand EB-5 to 10,000 applicants. And by the way, when President Trump said this is a small piece, the lottery visa brings in 50,000 people. This is merely what we have right now is literally a 10,000 quota. So really, we're looking forward to the expansion of the EB-5 and the implementation of the gold card.
We also know that with regard to EB-5, it is currently valid until September of 2027. You have stated numerous times that it should be expanded and or extended, if you will. Do you foresee that happening by that time?
You know, Senator Rand Paul said it really well the other day, and he said, you know, what we should do is expand a good program. Good, smart policies need to be expanded and also supplemented by things like the gold card. So I actually think that it should be not only something that gets renewed, but we should expand it. We only get 3,000 people a year, 3,000 families a year is all we get for the EB-5 program. And we hit the quota. Every couple of years, we hit the quota. And so that's why we only have $55 billion coming into our country with EB-5 over the last 10 years, because we have caps and quotas. And that's complete nonsense, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yet again, we have been speaking with Mr. Ali John Gary, CEO and founder of EB-5 Investors Magazine, joining us all the way from Asia today on the Live Zone. Ali, I got to tell you, I just think it would be kind of cool just to walk around with a gold card for myself. But yet again, doesn't look like I'll be able to afford it. Truly appreciate your time, sir. Folks that want to find out more information about you, how would one go about to do so? EB5investors.com is one of the ways we actually run the portal for EB-5. I also facilitated over a couple $2 billion myself in EB-5, but EB5investors.com is the best way. All right, sir. Thank you so much for joining us on the Live Zone.